How can they be charging $59.49 for this, including delivery, when everyone else is charging closer to £200? Got to be rubbish, no? Could I have stood any closer to the camera? No. Did I do a trick shot with an Amazon box? Yes, if that isn't reason to subscribe and turn notifications on, especially as I don't think this Amazon limited deal is gonna last long. But that's not really the whole point of this video. I'm seeing a lot of these nowadays. Tons of rangefinders, lasers, whatever you wanna call them, promising to do just as much as the expensive ones. So 200, 250, 300 pound rangefinders. And are we now in a day and age where actually we're seeing behind the curtain? Does it really cost that much to provide an accurate distance at 200, 300, 400, 500 yards, when in actual fact you're just paying for a brand? So today's test is my Bushnell Tour V4, which I would have paid upwards of £250 for about 5 years ago. So that's one test we can't go today. This has lasted me a long time and still works incredibly well. I'm a big fan of lasers. Compared to obviously my box, I won't be able to test if this is durable enough to last a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, which is normally the standard test of paying a lot cheaper for a product that promises to do the same thing. One really exciting feature I want to try with this $59.49 laser is it actually has the flag lock on, just like my V4 does. So when I did the Malesi review about 2 years ago, one distinctive feature was this was very easy to lock onto any flag. But this Amazon one is now saying that it can do the same thing, but at a fraction of the price. So first things first, let's open this box and see what we've got inside. Right, small, compact, light little packaging with a bit of cellophane around it. I mean, from first glance, it looks a lot cheaper in terms of look, feel, the packaging that it comes in. Again, that's probably what we'd expect from a device that is a quarter or even a fifth of the price that a lot of the premium ones are demanding. Okay, nice. It comes with a nice little case. It's not as nice as the Bushnell case that I have. I will show you a quick clip of the Bushnell one from my last video. I didn't actually bring it out with me. Again, possibly another cost-saving technique for why this is a bit cheaper than all the others. The main thing that we're really going to be concerned about is, does it do its job? One of the last things we need to do is obviously put the battery, which it does come provided with, which is a big bonus. Let's not forget, these things cost like £4 to £5 each. They're so expensive, which is a big flaw of lasers in general, especially when there's only a few shops in the UK that actually sell them. Right, just had a quick play with it just so I can get my head around it, just so that I can show you the full ability of this device, and it's quick, like really quick. Let me show you. So up first, we're going to go Bushnell first. We are about 37 yards. I just lasered it quickly just to give us a little test, and I will try and get this to look through as cleanly as possible. But as you can see there, locks on, vibrates. I don't know if you can hear that, but 37 yards. Now we'll say the viewfinder on the Bushnell is a lot bigger. So for some of you guys that potentially have a bit more that eyesight issue, let's say, you can see this one's a tiny bit more narrow. It doesn't look this narrow on the camera, however. 37.2, and again, I'm just impressed at how quickly it's locked on. 37.2, 37.2, 37.3 for a fraction of the price. It feels cheaper, it feels lighter, the viewfinder is smaller, but in terms of testing it accuracy wise from 37 yards, head to head. So from green side, very accurate, tick in the box, but let's do some longer distances. 100 yards, 150 yards, 200 yards. Now I think this particular model, I don't know how to pronounce the company's name, so I do apologise. I'm going to just go for AOFAR. Future Simon here. I just put it in the WhatsApp group talking to the boys about the video that I'm making today, and they've just told me how to pronounce it. AOFAR. How far? AOFAR. Makes sense now. It's a limited time deal. I think this is the end of production line of this particular model. They have another model, that's the Pro version, that goes up to 600 yards. And to be honest, for me personally, I don't really need to know my yardages over 500 yards. But what I'm impressed by is there are tons of manufacturers. If you don't get this limited time deal, which I'll show you here, I'll leave the link down below. When you watch this video in a week, 2 weeks, there'll be multiple different manufacturers doing pretty much the same thing, and all I ever go for is the reviews. If it's got 20, 30, 40 reviews, people getting it 4 stars, 5 stars, then you're more than likely going to be alright. And if it's no good, just return it. Okay, next test. Bushnell from about 80 yards, I'm going to say, just out the back of the green. I've somehow got a bit of dirt under the lens, which isn't the best advert, but then probably shows my poor caretaking of this device over the years. 74 yards. One thing I would say with the Bushnell is there's a lot less stuff going on. It's a bigger viewpoint, and that's definitely not the yardage. 74, locked on. One more time. 73. There's a lot less going on with the Bushnell. This just seems quite busy, but it's still doing the job, if that makes sense. Look how big, like, it's a small viewfinder, and then you've got that massive aim point, like right in the middle. 74.7. One more time. Oh, it does dance around a tiny bit with that one, didn't it? Again, the reason I like the pulse action is because if you play a different golf course that you've never played before, 74.9 again. If you go and play a different golf course that you've never played before, and the flag's, let's say, at the back of the green or middle of the green, and there's bushes at the back, and you laser the back of the green thinking that's the flag, and then you hit the number and it goes straight out the back, that is obviously a massive downside. I should probably say at this point, I'm not getting paid by anyone to obviously push this device. I just thought it was a good deal and just shows realistically how much does it actually cost to make these things. As I can tell from these tests, I mean, in terms of accuracy side of it, they are very similar. Like, it's difficult to tell. It's like with launch monitors. Which one is the most accurate? How do we actually tell? Is there a standard testing practice for launch monitors? Is there a launch monitor for launch monitors? And which one's to say this one, or the Bushnell, let's say, is more accurate? Well, that's definitely not accurate, and that definitely wasn't the flag. Right, 156.7, that's definitely is the number. And if I was standing, to be fair, if I'm 150 yards away from the flag, I definitely know I'm not 180. Does that make sense? But still, it's having a tiny bit of trouble potentially locking on the people behind the flag versus the actual flag itself. 156.4, which could potentially be a slight downside of the device. Right, we're going with the Dormy AOFAR first. Have a quick little look this time. I imagine I'm about 200 yards, something like that, to the flag. The one thing I would say, which probably doesn't get portrayed in the video that well, is that if I just stand here and laser them against my eye, let's say, side by side, it's a lot quicker and a lot more efficient. Now that's saying 200, that's more like it, 199.2. I'm definitely going to say at this point, I'm going to give it kind of an 8 out of 10 for the lock-on flag system, and the Bushnell 10 out of 10. Like, you kind of do need to know your yardages to a certain point with the cheaper version, because sometimes it does pick up, like you've seen, the people at the back of the green, the people, like, mind you, saying that, the Bushnell's just done exactly the same. The people at the back of the green, potentially bushes, whatever it is. Now saying that, the Bushnell saying 213, that's definitely not 213 to the flag. 195. These are a lot better. If I just stood here against my eye with both of these lasers, it's a lot better. So maybe it's not an accurate representation when I'm trying to show through a camera at the same time. I'm going to actually do a quick speed test. Try and laser the flag 3 times, get it locked on, get an accurate measurement, and see how long it takes me to do it with each device against my eyes. Okay, up first, the Bushnell, starting from now. 172, unlock. 170, unlock. 172. Don't know how quick that is. I'll obviously do a timer in the video. Right, the cheap one, going from now. 177, interesting. 175, interesting. 175. So actually it's 3 yards out. Wasn't necessarily slower, but it's still 3 yards out. I mean, it's a fraction of the price, but still 3 yards. Okay, last test. We're over 250 odd yards. One thing I have noticed with the cheaper version, it's a lot more trigger happy. It's ready to throw out a number on that pulse setting than the Bushnell. I feel like the Bushnell just waits and bides its time a tiny bit more, tiny bit longer at these distances. Oh, that doesn't seem right. I did have it up against my eye. Again, this is obviously going to pull my dexterity and hand-to-eye coordination to the max, because it is definitely 270. 273. Right, there we go. To the flag. 277.4. Again, Side by side against my eye, they both chucked out a very similar distance, but this one's a lot more trigger happy. I'll just be that much more certain and maybe laser it a couple of times to make sure that's definitely the yardage. However, my last roundup of these two is realistically you want to be very accurate within 100 yards, 150 yards to decide what wedge, what 9-iron, pitching wedge, are we flighting it, are we hitting it down, are we hitting a big one? And to be honest, both of these, when it comes to that kind of yardage, yes, I would say the Bushnell outside 250 yards, maybe 200 yards, close to that mark, is a lot more accurate. 97 yards to the flag. But it is also 5 times the price. But when it comes down to, like, let's say these shorter shots within that 100-yard range, I mean, they're pretty much exactly the same as each other. I think the focal range of the Bushnell is a lot better. If you're looking to be accurate to a yard from 195 yards, I probably would go with the Bushnell. However, if you're looking for a cheap point and shoot so that you know if to hit down a knockdown wedge or a full 50 degree, this is a good option. Guys, let me know your thoughts. I'm not saying this is the best laser in the world, but there are some very good value options of these on the market. I'd love to try 6, 7, 8 of them and tell you exactly which one's good for 60, which one's good for 70, which one's good for 80, but I'd highly recommend just trusting the reviews, trying it, and if you don't like it, return it. If you like this video, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new. Catch you guys later.